Good morning, everybody. This car is lovely. Lovely is the way to put it. I have spent the last 4 days with the 2017 Mercedes S63 AMG Cabriolet. This car is beautiful. It is fast. It is comfortable, and it's magnificent in pretty much every way a car can be magnificent. It's big. This is the full. So it's the S-Class. Coupe version of the S-Class, convertible version of that. So it's a heavy car, but under the hood is a twin turbo 5.5 liter V8 hand built by AMG, making 577 horsepower and 664 pounds of torque. So this thing, it scoots, it gets up and goes. In the interior, the S-Class, and especially the AMG version, it's always been sort of the high-tech solution. Rolls-Royce is all about just craftsmanship and woodworking and leather and stuff like that. BMW with their top trim stuff is obviously about carbon fiber and renewable materials with their i8. This car is a reward car. It's not a toy. It's not a weekend toy or a track car. This is for somebody that earns a big salary doing a hard job, whether it's the stress of managing 40,000 people, whether it's doing brain surgery, whether it's arguing in front of a judge if you're an attorney. You work long hours at a hard job. This car is your reward. It's this cocoon that envelops you and cares for you on the way home. There's so much technology in it. And I'm going to start with the seats. This seat, the dynamic massage seat, is the greatest seat I have ever sat in a car. It is perfect. It's multi-contoured in that it's full of all these different air pockets, which can change how the shoulders fit, how the lumbar fits, how the bolsters fit, how the thighs fit. You can then do 6 different massage programs. It has the air scarf, which is the fans that blow hot air on the back of your neck. It even has heated armrest and door cards. The technology goes even further. There's, the spa air. There's like a little air freshener guy in here. And then this goes in, and this is Pacific Mood. Because we're near the Pacific Ocean, and it filters and purifies your air and makes it smell good. It doesn't drive itself, but it does have radar cruise control with steering assist. And I don't love the steering assist at anything above 20 or 30 miles an hour, but if you are stuck in traffic, man, is that a wonderful thing. So let's go for a drive. There's 3 different modes to this car: Comfort and Sport Auto. And then there's a manual. So we're going to start in Sport Auto. And we're going to start in Sport Auto because I think Mercedes does a really, really good job of their shift programming with auto and how you can actually control the gear changes with your right foot. So it winds the RPMs up a little bit, and then you'll see as I come down to a corner here, brake, downshift. It'll do it, and then if I do even harder brakes, it'll do a double downshift. The Sport Auto programming of this gearbox is very good. It does have the air suspension, which is height adjustable on a button if you got to clear some gnarly stuff, although frankly I haven't had to use it much. Back to the seats. This has the active bolstering, so as you turn the wheel, it loads up the outside bolster. And the E60 M5 had it as well, but that car always seemed like the bolsters were like a half a second behind where I wanted them. These are better. They're more progressive. It depends on how hard you turn the wheel, and it does it partially, and it does it a little bit better than quite a lot better than the BMW did, looks like. So this car is not a Canyon Rockstar, but it gets around. Pilot Sport 3 tires, big brakes. I don't know if I mentioned it, but these are all-wheel drive now. So you've got all-weather performance if you need to drive this year-round in the Northeast. And it's smooth. The steering is pretty light considering the weight of the car, but it's very direct, and you don't really have to wind the motor all the way to redline, because with 664 pounds of torque, you've got this great shove in the low to mid-range, although the car's choosing to keep the gearbox at 4,000 right now. Good shift program for this one. In comfort mode, it really does mute the throttle down. So if you use sport mode, which I actually like a lot, you're stuck in traffic or something, it can be a little jerky through the 7-speed multi-clutch gearbox, which is sort of a not quite a dual clutch. It really does kind of feel like an automatic when you want it to, but it transforms. It blips hard on the downshifts when you ask it to. They've really done a good job evolving this gearbox over time. And this car has a wonderful fluidity to it on these open sweepers here. It's happy to carry speed, and it corners flat. I have adjustable suspension. I'm in sport right now. I'll go to comfort, and I actually find that the handling doesn't change all that much between the two settings. It's really just the little imperfections in the road that I start to hear and feel in sport mode, which are absorbed mostly in comfort mode. But comfort is good on the shocks. It's not a huge difference. It's not as big a difference as like the C63, which has a massive difference from comfort to Sport Plus. Oh, look at that torque. But for me, like, I don't want to just romp this car. Let's go into manual mode. Here's manual. I'm shifting myself with the paddles now. You know, in just 4 days with this car, I have driven 476 miles, and that has taken 14 hours and 45 minutes at an average speed of 32 miles an hour. I did a long road trip to San Diego to see Mumford & Sons. So here's how this went. I got off a plane, flying 8 hours back from Charlotte, immediately got in this car, and drove to San Diego, which in an afternoon on a Thursday took 4.5 hours. It's only about 120 miles. And in that, this car couldn't have been more perfect. On the sections that were more open, it cruises at 80, 90 miles an hour, allegedly, very well. And in the sections where there's bad traffic, and there were a lot of those, it really is just a wonderful place. As a matter of fact, let me pull up my massage seat menu, and I'm going to activate one of my massage programs. There's 6 different ones. Hot relaxing on the back, hot relaxing on the shoulders, activating, classic, mobilizing, and active workout. So hot relaxing on the back, it's got these bladders that inflate. Some of them even have heating pads in them. So it gives you the effect of getting a hot stone massage while you're driving. And let me tell you something, it is magnificent. And my only complaint about the massage seats is that you have to restart them after every 15 minutes because they go off on you. But I can't say enough about the seats in this car, and the comfort is second to none. I mean, even, Bentley GT, this is Bentley GT money. This is a $214,000 car as tested. Although a lot of the options like the special red leather, the frozen paint, the black wheels, they're cosmetic and you could take them off. The base price is $177,000. So it's just under where a Bentley V8S GT would be. The Bentley is more like Art Deco. It's older, it's classicer. Everything's kind of analog, the gauges and all that. It's not sold as a techie toy, whereas this is sold as a techie toy, and it's got the gadgets to back it up. Everything's through the LCD screens. Plus, the Bentley GT, most people can't identify a brand new one versus kind of an old one. This one, people look at and go, oh yeah, because it looks new. It looks the business. We've caught a Ford Edge. Sounds good on the downshifts. It's not too loud, and it's got just enough where I can really hear the grumble. You go through a tunnel and it is, oh, that's good. Can I get by Edge? Ford Edge? What do you say? If he doesn't get by, I'm going to stop because I'm getting a massage anyway. I've also got turn on the cooled seat there. Can I get by? Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Here we go. good linear power delivery. Comparisons, right. This is probably the best driving of the cars in its class as far as a highway tourer. The Bentley GT V8S, a little more nimble in the canyons. BMW doesn't really have an exact competitor. I mean, the M6, but that's a lot cheaper and it's smaller. The one thing I will say about it that I don't like, there's not a lot of things not to like here. I mean, frankly, this is a very expensive car. I've spent a lot of time in it so far, and I love it, and I don't want to give it back. The only issue I have is the reason I have the top up right now instead of top down on this beautiful driving day is that you have to lower this partition in the trunk. Same thing with a lot of the big convertibles, including the Rolls-Royce Dawn. And when you lower that partition to put the top down, you lose a lot of trunk space. And so if you plan on going on a long-distance tour with the top down, you really need to plan your luggage accordingly. My camera case will not fit in the trunk with the top down, which is unfortunate because there is no time I'd rather be driving with the top down than right here with you fine people. 15-inch brakes at the front, 6-piston front, 4-piston rear. Even though the car is heavy, they get the job done very nicely. It's good. Tires, they're a little squeal there. It's communicating, but steering is maintaining its directness, and the car goes where you point it. I mean, it doesn't have a lot of bad habits. It just doesn't. Oh, nice cut there, Caltrans. He said as he was cutting as well. But like I said in the beginning of the video, you know, this car is a reward car. I've worked hard for 40 years at a job that is brutal or disgusting or whatever it is, the stress of managing thousands and thousands of people. This is a reward, man. Your commute home will just be lovely at the end of the day with something like this. The Burmeister stereo just bumps. And the one weird thing actually about this car that I don't love is this, as good as the seat is, and as good as everything about it is, to put the steering wheel in the right place for me, it actually blocks about half the gauge cluster. Thank you, sir. It blocks about half the gauge cluster, and so it's hard for me to see the gauges through the steering wheel. Now, fortunately, it's got the heads-up display, which works really good, and that covers most of what I need, unless I'm driving in manual mode and need to watch the tach. But it's just strange. I think it's because the AMG wheel is smaller than the regular wheel, and it blocks off quite a big portion of the screen, which is a little strange. But what's cool about this thing is you can customize it to your taste. I mean, not just when you order options from the factory, you can customize the ambient lighting color and the behaviors of the car for different keys. And I mean, I know other cars have this stuff too, but it's very rare that I drive a car that has really, truly every possible comfort and convenience feature. It's got night vision, which rocks. It shows it right in the gauge cluster here. Really good setup. Oh, and I forgot to mention, even though this is such a big car, I've been driving it around LA a lot, and I talk about cars being the right size all the time. Oh, this is the right size for the city and whatever. This car has an amazing turning radius, which combined with the great backup camera and the overhead 360 backup view, it's super, super easy to parallel park, to park into weird parking spaces and garages that are on weird angles. For a car that's this big, it's shockingly easy to maneuver and park at low speeds, which is definitely a plus when you're talking about a car that's, you know, almost 200 inches long. It's a big car. But I think I've pretty well covered it. I mean, it's wonderful. What are the downsides? Well, it's expensive. Okay, it's expensive, and as we all know, yeah, it is going to depreciate. That's just what happens. But let me tell you, Mercedes won't want me to say this, but in 4 years, this will be the greatest $50,000 car that you've ever seen. But everything from the materials and the build quality, the execution of the technology, I've had no hiccups or anything like that. It is a truly lovely car. It's a lovely place to spend your time. I'm using that word a lot, but that's the word. That's what it means. This car is dope. It's the exact description of dope, and I love it, and I want one, and honestly, so should you. And yeah, it's big and heavy, but do I care? Not a lick. So thank you to Mercedes for lending me this car for the week. I've enjoyed it. Thank you guys for watching, and of course, I'll see you next time.